Standard astrology demands chronological precision. To construct the ascendant, or lagna, and map the dozens of fractional divisional charts, the exact birth minute is required. If that recorded birth time is off by even 5 minutes, the ascendant shifts, the divisional charts warp, the entire predictive architecture falls apart. An alternative algorithm exists. Documented in ancient palm leaf manuscripts, the Bhrigu Nandi Nadi, or BNN, system operates entirely without an ascendant. It strips the astrological model down to its rawest data points, the static positions of the 9 planets on the day of birth. Instead of reading a linear sequence of houses, BNN treats the natal chart as a topological circuit board. Time is calculated by deploying Jupiter and Saturn as moving cursors that sweep across this static map to trigger events. By tracking these cursors through spatial geometry and applying specific progression multipliers, precise life events can be calculated deterministically. The rising sign is entirely irrelevant. Traditional Parashari astrology relies on aspects, where planets look at specific houses from afar to influence them. BNN abandons this mechanic. Instead, planets interact through a mechanical rule known as directional resonance. This circular zodiac maps 12 signs into 4 elemental directions: east fire, south earth, west air, north water. Same element signs form an equilateral triangle across the chart, creating the 1-5-9 trinal relationship. If planets sit on these points, they are physically conjunct. They touch. This closed circuit operates at 100% intensity. The planets fuse their characteristics together completely, regardless of the numerical degrees separating them. Removing spatial distance calculations, directional resonance turns the natal chart into a fixed network of latent circuits, waiting for a moving cursor to activate them. Without an ascendant to define the individual, the system needs a new set of anchors. It finds them in karakas, the inherent biological and structural properties belonging to the planets themselves. Jupiter acts as the Jiva Karaka. It is the biological life force and the physical representation of the individual in a male chart. Saturn acts as the Karma Karaka. It represents the engine of action, daily labor, and professional destiny. Because Jupiter is the biological self, its movement provides the chronological framework for personal and physical evolution. As seen in this diagram, the minor progression algorithm sets the Jupiter cursor to move forward at a rate of exactly 1 sign per year. At this pace, it takes exactly 12 years for Jupiter to complete 1 full cycle around the zodiac. BNN divides the human lifespan into 6 12-year blocks. The second round, ages 13 to 24, governs early financial development and education. The fourth round, ages 37 to 48, governs the acquisition of fixed assets and property. The timing logic is mechanical. An event occurs when the moving Jupiter cursor enters an objective trigger planet sign. If the cursor physically lands on Venus or enters a sign in directional resonance with it, the circuit closes. The milestone of marriage is activated. The minor progression isolates the who and what happens to the body. It reduces major relational and biological milestones to a predictable 12-year clock. To calculate the macro arc of professional destiny, the system relies on the major progression using Saturn. As the Karma Karaka, the Saturn cursor moves slower, advancing at exactly 2.5 years per sign and completing a full rotation in 30 years. This equation demonstrates that predicting when a career begins is a precise mathematical calculation based on Saturn's distance from Rahu or Venus. We can prove this formula using the BNN Professional Milestones Matrix. Assume Saturn occupies 1 sign, and Venus sits exactly 7 signs away. The calculation is 7 signs multiplied by the 2.5-year transit rate yields 17.5, pushing into the 18th year. In the BNN texts, this specific spatial distance definitively locks the inception of the native's profession at exactly age 18. As Saturn continues its forward march, it crosses other directional resonance lines, triggering subsequent events, like a major career pivot at age 24. The major progression strips away the abstraction. Professional development is treated as an inevitable collision between a moving timeline and fixed spatial coordinates. This visualization shows the ultimate predictive capability of BNN, layering the major and minor progressions on top of each other. Run a combined timeline. At age 25, the slower Saturn cursor physically intersects with the Rahu node, closing the circuit for career inception. Fast forward to age 28, and the faster Jupiter cursor enters the directional trine of Venus, locking in the marriage trigger. The variables do not cross over. Saturn dictates what you do and when you begin doing it. Jupiter dictates who you interact with and when your physical state changes. Operating this way bypasses the vulnerabilities inherent in Parashari frameworks. Because it functions without the ascendant, exact planetary degrees, or fractional divisional charts, the baseline data remains pure and resistant to calculation errors. Bhrigu Nandi Nadi demonstrates that timing life events does not depend on the spatial relativity of the horizon at birth. It operates as a purely kinematic algorithm, a fixed matrix of variables systematically activated by the relentless cursors of time.